So myth had an important role in this too. Let's get into that a little bit.
Sure. I think for the Greeks, I think we can easily misunderstand the role or the status of myth in ancient Greek culture. For us, with our kind of scientistic attitude, we look at myth as fiction. It's kind of making up stories about the world. But for the Greeks, those myths were meant to have explanatory power. They were meant to account for the world and to make it intelligible. But the crucial difference that I think both Nietzsche and Heidegger appreciated about that status of myth for the Greeks is that mythical discourse gives an account of the world and means to explain the world without claiming to exhaustively illuminate it. So it shows you how the world is. It lets the world appear in this mythical mode, but it doesn't claim to exhaustively illuminate it, to rid it of all mystery. It allows it to retain some mystery, and that's just essential to mythical discourse as such, I would say.
Didn't it also have kind of a cultural role as sort of setting parameters for people's actions?
Sure, yeah, and then out of that kind of appearance of the world, right, so this story gives us this glimpse into what the gods want from us, or what the human condition is like, or what the world in which we live in, how it's structured, and so myths give us some indication of that. But the crucial thing is that even though they were meant to give us directives, and so when they appeared in a Greek tragedy, there's certainly some sense that the Greek tragedy was supposed to be, it was supposed to have a kind of pedagogical function. It was supposed to teach us things about the human condition.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it was understood to be a teaching that essentially required interpretation. So it wasn't something where you would just be given a lesson and say, accept it as it is.
Not like religion.
Yeah,
for instance,
exactly.
right?
So follow these 10 rules or something like that. It would be a lesson that you had to do a lot of interpretive work to figure out what the meaning of it was for you. And that was sort of part of myth and mythical discourse itself.
Interesting that in this context that we call them the 10 Commandments.
Right.
They're not suggestions.
Yeah, they aren't suggestions. Or texts to be interpreted. They're
there was also a time issue here, right? An issue of temporality. They wanted.
Sure.
There was a difference between being absorbed in the moment and seeing the moment in context with this developing.
Sure.
Plot of some kind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and this is something that I've studied in some depth. I think, to my mind, in what ancient Greek tragedy presents us with is the peculiar temporality of the human experience. That is to say, as a human being, I'm trying to take action in the world. I'm trying to initiate practices that will produce happiness or secure my success in some way. But what we see on the tragic stage is that in that very practical, ordinary human activity, I'm actually situated between a past that I can't ever understand the ultimate origin of, a past that's determining me and affecting me that I can't ever fully master or incorporate. And I'm aiming and I'm pointing myself toward a future that I can't fully anticipate. And that's the tragic temporality of the human condition. So when you see the tragic protagonist on stage, what you see is someone who tried to engineer that process and bring about an ensured result.
And it didn't work.
And it didn't work. And these are the most powerful people in the Greek world, these kind of great heroes like Oedipus or Agamemnon. And so if they can't do it,
We're going to have our viewers running off and watching the Oedipus plays.
I hope so. That would be a nice nice consequence.